I go.
Yo-ho, here I go. Yo-ho, here I go. Here comes Ben. Yo-ho, here I go.
Another bright start to the day for Ben the Bin Lorry when he heard his alarm clock ringing in his ears. Next, it was time for breakfast. Ben needed food to keep his big engine going all day. Now, what will I have to eat this morning? I know, I'll have cornflakes, and a slice of toast, boiled eggs, and a cup of tea, Ben said. After finishing his breakfast, he knew it was time to get to work, so he started up his engine. That sounded good. Then Ben shouted, "Yo-ho, here I go," as he began to move off. He was heading to Martin's village to pick up his co-workers, Tim, Kim and Finn, who were waiting for him outside the village post office. Moving slowly down the street, Ben spotted Mohammed the Mechanic, who was fixing a car. He shouted out to Ben, "Yo-ho, here I go." "Hey, that's what I say," said Ben. Mohammed and Ben just laughed as he drove on. By the time Ben arrived at the post office, Tim, Kim and Finn had already started working. They all jumped aboard the lorry and on to their next job. As Ben was arriving at the park, he spotted Mr. Tooty Frooty in the distance. He was standing looking up to the sky. Ben soon caught up with him and asked what he was doing. "The sky is wonderful, Ben, especially at night," said Mr. Tooty Frooty. "I look up to the stars and planets and wonder if anyone else lives up there." Ben was interested in what he was saying and always keen to learn things. Mr. Tooty Frooty told Ben to meet him with his friends later outside the post office, just before it gets dark, and they would be able to look through his telescope at the planets and stars too. Now, Oliver Tickletum from the village was a bit of a practical joker, who was standing outside the post office when they all met up to look through Mr. Tooty Frooty's telescope. Ben and his friends were getting excited as they wanted to see the moon, planets and stars. The telescope was pointing up to the sky, and Mr. Tooty Frooty looked through it and shouted, "Look at this! I cannot believe my eyes." "What can you see?" said Ben. "I can see the man in the moon. Yes, it's definitely him," said Mr. Tooty Frooty. Everyone got excited, and Ben decided to look through the telescope to see the man in the moon for himself. "Yes, I can see him," Ben said. Tim, Kim and Finn also had a look, and they all agreed. It was the man in the moon. Police Officer Percy Swizzell was on duty and came over to talk to Ben and his friends. He too was asked to look through the telescope. Now, there is something there, and yes, it looks like the man in the moon. However, there's something not quite right about this, he said. PC Swizzell took another look through the telescope and began to laugh. "I have found your man in the moon. Look, someone has stuck a jelly baby onto the end of the telescope. This is what you are seeing." Everyone turned and looked at Oliver Tickletum. "I bet you did this," said Ben. "Yes, it was me," said Oliver. "I only did it for a giggle." They all saw the funny side and began to laugh. How could they all be so silly to think there was a man in the moon? As Ben was heading home, he began thinking about what had happened that night. But as he looked up to the sky, he was sure he saw the moon winking at him. Perhaps there really is a man in the moon after all, he thought. Ben soon arrived back at his warm garage and had some hot milk before closing his big lamps and going to sleep. It was the end of another busy day for Ben and his friends. Good night, Ben. Sleep tight, and we'll see you soon.